Hello everyone and welcome back to the Calham64 LP Retrospective, and today we're going to be looking at the LP which came straight after Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. While that one was a blind LP going on, I wanted to take a break in that, and so I decided, oddly enough, the next game after Donkey Kong Country would be Earthworm Jim for the Sega Mega Drive/Genesis. Very odd, I know. I think the reason why I decided to do this game of all things was because, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the only game that was for, the Sega Mega Drive that I did on the channel, and I wanted to do the Mega Drive again given the fact that I really love the Sega Mega Drive, as a system. To be honest, it's my favourite video game console of all time. It's just my sort of personal taste. So I think that's one of the main reasons why I chose Earthworm Jim, but it was also a little strange that I chose to do this one because I just literally finished the game myself. You see, I got Earthworm Jim back in 2014 or so, and I was playing it on my Sega Mega Drive, just practicing it, and I wasn't very good at it at first, because Earthworm Jim is admittedly a very challenging game for first time players. Where I always kept dying and I had to go back to the very beginning because there was no saving in Earthworm Jim. In fact, the majority of Mega Drive games didn't have saving at all, so if you died, it was just go back to the start, and given the fact I've played a lot of Mega Drive games nowadays, I suppose that kind of thing doesn't really bother me anymore. If I die, I die, so be it. Learn from my mistakes. So I wasn't very good at the game to begin with, but just after playing a lot of it through the year of 2014, I eventually loved it in the end, because over time, I just got better and better at the game, and eventually I got to the point where I could literally beat it, and as soon as I beat the game, that was it. I was just like, wow, I pretty much know everything now, because the amount of times I had to restart the game every time I died, basically just get everything in my head of how Earthworm Jim works. And literally, as soon as I beat it, I decided to try again. Beat it around, 4 to 5 times, and that was it. After that, I was like, right, I'm gonna make an LP out of this. This is the thing that's really different compared to everything else, that I did on the channel. Particularly if I go back to, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that was a game that I grew up with. I grew up playing that game on Sonic Mega Collection Plus for the PlayStation 2 as a kid. So, of course, I was familiar to that game, in that sense of childhood. But Earthworm Jim was literally a game that I just literally played that year. And to find that I wanted to do an LP out of it was really weird, but it worked. To be honest, the whole LP of Earthworm Jim is really short. It's around 8 episodes long because it's not one of the longest Mega Drive games. So this is pretty much one of the only series, in this LP retrospective where I've literally sat and watched through the whole entire LP. Because honestly, I couldn't really remember a lot about Earthworm Jim. I remember the fact that, obviously I was recording it and it was a good time, but I couldn't really remember a lot about it because it was a project, in January of 2015, which is quite a while back now. It's 2 years ago. Good lord, it's already that long ago. What? And I gotta say, when I just sat through the whole LP and just watched it, because honestly, you can watch this around an afternoon or so. It's really short, guys. I think it's pretty good. Even though this LP was lost in my memory, when I look back at it, I think I did a good job, for showing off what Earthworm Jim was at a game. I didn't really do anything over the top or unnecessary, and I thought, oh god, why did I do that? That was completely stupid, And the episodes in that are really short and to the point, Not one of them, or at least there's one episode, I think, which goes on for 24 minutes, but all the other ones are just, around 10 to 15 or so. So they're really short and to the point. And every time I beat some of the levels, I showed off extra things, inside the levels, which were also quick. And just, I don't know, I think the pacing of this LP is done very well. Even on the levels, where I go through Andy Asteroids. Because if you've never played this game before, what happens is every time you finish one of the stages, you then have to hop onto Earthworm Jim's rocket ship and then go through this sort of race between Psychro and then get to the end before he does. There's some sort of race, and that happens literally every time you finish a level. And of course, they're basically the same thing going on, except just more asteroids to avoid, so there wasn't really much to say. So what I decided to do, just because I don't know, but honestly I find this quite funny, is read the stuff from the instruction booklet of Earthworm Jim. Given the fact that I actually own this for the Sega Mega Drive, I got it boxed with the actual instruction booklet, and one time when I was reading the booklet, I was very amused, let's just say, by the sort of text that Shiny put into it, you know, because I find that they have a good sense of humour. And I decided to share that by literally every time I went onto one of the Andy-Asteroids levels, to keep the commentary entertaining, I would literally read, you know, a section in the book that I found funny and stuff. Except honestly, I do think I could have done this a bit better, because that's all it literally was. It was me reading what, you know, was on the book and stuff, but just with the gameplay going on.
Walking the dog was never like this. If you let little Peter fall, watch out. His temper gets the best of him, and he mutates into a ravenous, hulking giant. If the meteor showers don't rain on your parade, and the flying saucers don't blow you away, then maybe, just maybe, you'll make it through okay. Oh, did I forget to mention that the Unipus, like an octopus but with one arm, tentacles can kill you?
I think what I mainly should have done to make things a bit better is, while I was reading it, show up the actual text on the screen, because not, you know, given the fact that I'm going through an Andy-Asteroids level, there's not really much else different, so it doesn't even matter if it's covered up, just so that there's something different going on and, you know, you're keeping up with what's happening. As when looking at episode 1, there's a particular part of it where I'm reading, you know, the part in the book, but I don't laugh or anything at the end to show that I've read towards the end of it, and I'm actually just going back to my normal commentary. And I honestly got confused when I looked back at it when watching, you know, the LP today or so, because I was like, wait, is that part of the book, or did I finish, or just, I don't know.
Suddenly, the ultra-high-tech space particles of the suit set off a radical light-speed evolution, and we witnessed the birth of Earthworm Jim. The story can also be followed if you look at the HD remake of Earthworm Jim, since it's shown through comic strips and whatnot.
I feel like, you know, with a bit of an image or so of the booklet, and that would be better, because when it goes away, that's when you're like, oh, okay, he's finished reading. You know, it's just some sort of indication, if you will. I think that just would have been a bit better, but yeah, it's just a little thing. I do reckon, though, that Earthworm Jim was the LP series where I finally got the hang of, you know, the volume levels that I should set my headset at, because all the other ones before that I felt were a little bit all over the place with some sort of things going on, particularly, you know, with Donkey Kong Country. I sound very nasally to begin with, and it doesn't sound quite as high-quiz quality. But, you know, when Earthworm Jim came out, I just find that in all the episodes now, I sound clear, and it sounds good, and yeah, it's pretty all swell. In my own perspective of looking at the Earthworm Jim LP, I recently looked back, you know, to all the stuff that I had when making the project, as I have all of my LP projects, you know, and all the assets and stuff saved to my hard drive, but some of them I had to delete because they took up too much space on my laptop, and, you know, just some of them are just like, I know, I have to get rid of these. But oh my god, when I look back at my Earthworm Jim LP folder, good grief, I literally kept everything. Like, seriously, I'm talking, like, you know, the banner production, the actual channel art is there, even the Photoshop make, you know, the actual PSD file is still existent on there, as well as the images, the intro, even the save states that I used for Sega Fusion. All of the save states where every time I finished the episode, I would add a save state, you know, just to save me having to boot up the game and catch up to where I was. They are there. And the green screen effects are there. And the tests are there, you know, for all the renders that I did. It's just, I don't know. It feels really weird to find everything complete in there, because all the other LPs that I've tried to look at before, you know, I did delete them. That's why I didn't really have a lot to show, you know, for Donkey Kong Land 3. Because all I literally had on there was my commentary files and the episode renders, in other words, you know, just the MP4 video files of the videos that I uploaded to YouTube. That's all I had. But this is complete. There's a lot of material to show off here, to be honest, so I'm gonna go through it right there. Let's go behind the scenes for the production of this LP. Heading into the images folder reveals all sorts of original material and stuff going on, you know, from the actual profile pic that I had at the time when, you know, releasing this LP on the channel. You can see that, you know, my profile pic of the stages of development that I went through, where at the minute it says Cal on preview profile pic, then preview 2 says Calham, and then eventually it went to Calham64. Now I wasn't happy with it, so I put worms as outlines around it and stuff, and just, I don't know, it's really weird to find all this still here. I'm gonna say that a lot, I apologize, but honestly, it's really shocking to me as, like, the creator, but still. There's even a picture of the original Next Previous and playlist that I have, which looks utterly terrible. Seriously, moving on. Oh my god. Whereas the actual ones that I did use, which were just basically, you know, text with blue and a bit of glow, look a lot better than the other one that we saw, so I do prefer that. And oh wow, there's actually even the picture of the title screen high quality that I've still got. That's literally what I did to grab every single word, because you know the actual things that you see on the images that say Calham64, that's literally the text ripped out, you know, from that title screen, and then rearranged around, I think. And of course I have a folder that says letters as well, because when you look at the profile pics, you'll notice, you know, how Calham64, in other words, you know, just a bit that says Calham really is written in the same sort of font that you see when it says press start on options, you know, on the Earthworm Jim title screen. It's similar to that, because when I do actually open it up, you can see that it contains all of like the PNG files of the letters that I used. Why do I still have this? This is so cool. I have literally ACEHILMNOPRSTX. That's definitely the full alphabet right there. Even if I go to the outro folder in this, I still have the notepad text file that says outro video details to follow. Well, when I open it up, you can see, you know, all the things that I used to remind myself and things going on, because there was an awful lot of animation when it came to the outro, with things sliding in, sliding out, and how long everything went on. I even tell, like, the number of milliseconds and seconds that I have to do. Oh my god, this is so scientific. The save state folder literally has every single save state from the game, you know, buttfill.gsx and down the tubes part1.gsx, as well as snotaproblem.gsx. Wow, these are still here. I could, if I boot up Sega Fusion right now with Earthworm Jim on it, I can literally boot up these save files and they'll take me back to exactly where I was when I used them back in 2000. That is crazy. And speaking of which, I even have the original outro as well, which actually leads me on to another thing to talk about, really, and comes away from this whole discovery of all the old stuff that I still have. So, originally in this LP, when the outros came on, I was going to be talking, or at least, you know, showing off how the music sounded in the Sega CD and Windows 95 version, because even though I was playing the Sega Mega Drive version, of course, the soundtrack is more compressed and stuff, you know, to fit at least, you know, on the actual Mega Drive itself. But the Sega CD version sounded more clear, and I wanted to show those off for each outro. But I remember when I did it, it did kind of work, but episode 1 got a copyright strike from it. You see, okay, here's the thing. The genius for the soundtrack in the Sega CD version, and just pretty much the Earthworm Jim soundtracks overall, I suppose, is Tommy Tallarico. And of course, when I uploaded it, Tommy Tallarico didn't really like that. So of course, that got a bit of a copyright claim going on. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough, fine. Because, I mean, honestly, Tommy Tallarico is a fantastic video game composer. He's made, you know, the soundtrack to games like Spider-Man for the PS1 as well, which has a badass soundtrack. Seriously, he's a bloody amazing composer. Check him out. So in the end, I decided for the outro I would use my favorite song, personally, you know, from the Mega Drive version, given the fact that one was more compressed and YouTube seemed to allow that, really, which was known as Buttville The Descent, you know, from the game. Every time an episode ended, that song would play, you know, just to add to suspense and stuff of the next episode and things going on. And it was also mainly to show why I think the Mega Drive has some good music from time to time. Like, seriously, even though people say, you know, Super Nintendo is far more superior and stuff because the sounds are more clear, yeah, I will agree. Of course, you know, the Super Nintendo can handle more instruments compared to the Mega Drive, as Mega Drive compresses them an awful lot. But when you do it really well, it can make the Mega Drive version sound really cool. I mean, honestly, this is Buttville The Descent, you know, the snippet of it. Have a listen. It's awesome. Badass track. So that played at the end of every single episode going on, and just, I don't know, it was fun. Also, I'll just say this quickly, the reason why I decided to do the Earthworm Jim Sega Mega Drive version is because, well, it's pretty much, in my opinion, and to most people, to be honest, the best version of Earthworm Jim, you know, when compared to the Super Nintendo version, because some people often, you know, debate whether or not the Genesis or Super Nintendo version, which one of them between the two, you know, is the better one. I find that the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis version is better because, I don't know, I just find that the soundtrack is better, most of the sound effects are there, and in fact, the one level that was missing from the Super Nintendo version exists in the Mega Drive. So, you know, basically, when you play the Mega Drive version, you've got the complete package. And even Nintendo themselves, when they released this game on the Virtual Console, they chose to port the Mega Drive version, or at least Genesis, you know, when compared to the Super Nintendo version. So, there you go, there's no competition, really. It's just, the Mega Drive version is better, really, in my opinion. If you do like the Super Nintendo version, though, so be it. My opinion does not mean that you have to agree with me. We all have opinions, for goodness sake. But yeah, that's literally all I have to say about Earthworm Jim as an LP and stuff. It's got the same sort of thing, you know, when compared to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where most of the time all I talk about is the outro assets, because the actual game wasn't that long, there wasn't really a lot to talk about, and it was more interesting looking at the behind the scenes of this production, if you will. It is an LP that I would honestly recommend that you watch, where all the LPs that I've talked about before, you know, I've talked about problems here and there, and while they do exist with Earthworm Jim, there's nothing really that makes me think, oh my god, that's a terrible LP, just ignore it completely, you know, forget it even happened. I honestly think it's still good to this day. I mean, like I was saying, I was just watching through it or so today, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I still think it's pretty good. So if you want to watch it or so, you know, there'll be a link in the description below linking to the original playlist of this series, the same with every single episode of this retrospective going on. Or, you know, in the outro end slate where I say, you know, to see the next episode of this LP retrospective, click here. Or at least go to here, if you will. Because I realize that when saying click here, it doesn't really make any sense. Because if people are watching on, like, mobile devices or Androids, if you will, they can't click. They gotta tap. And I was like, yeah, but if I say tap, then people can't click. So I just went, you know what, I'll just say go to here. That's literally the reason why I say go, guys. Just to save confusion. For people who guess, like, but I can't click or tap, you know. But yeah, I'm rambling on way too much. I hope you guys have enjoyed this LP retrospective of Earthworm Jim. And join me next time where I'm going to be talking about the next one, which was Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue for the PS1. And there was a lot more to say about this one. Oh my god. See you then. To see the next episode of this retrospective series, go to here. To see the full playlist of this series going on, go to here. To see the original LP of the one I have critiqued, go to here, or even consider subscribing to the channel by going to here instead. Thank you for watching.